It's time for piercing battles. It's going to be this week. It's going to be vertical clitoral hood versus horizontal clitoral hood. We're going to go through 5 rounds, 5 topics to decide who the winner is, if that really means anything, but maybe to help you make the decision between the two. We're going to cover anatomy, placement, healing, jewelry choices, and living with a piercing. Coming up next on Piercing Battles, episode number 16. For those who are new to the channel, welcome to the Body Piercing and Tattooing channel. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Somebody find them helpful and useful, but you may not know who I am. My name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and I operate the Axiom Body Piercing studio. Look at it right here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside the Skin Kitchen Tattoo. So just kind of to give you a little bit of a disclaimer, I'm going to be talking about genital piercings. If you are uncomfortable with this subject or not of an appropriate age to be learning about these things, or in a part of the world where that's just not appropriate, please find another video to watch. We have plenty that have absolutely nothing to do with genital piercings at all, vulva or penis-wise, none of that. This video is solely for the educational purposes of those that are considering the piercing, maybe their partners, or somebody that's just interested in this type of piercing. Just a brief description on what these piercings are. A vertical clitoral hood piercing is a piercing that goes through the clitoral hood at the very top. The outer or the inner labias or labia minoras kind of connect at the top of the vulva, and there is a section that lays over the top of the clitoris. That is called, we call it the clitoral hood. This is pierced vertically through that thin layer of tissue with a circular or a curved barbell in most cases. You can wear a ring in it, but most people stick with a curved barbell. Horizontal clitoral hoods are done kind of in the same spot, but they're done slightly above that through that loose tissue, but they're done horizontally with a circular piece of jewelry with that bottom ball or closure kind of sitting against the little part of the clitoris that kind of peeks out underneath the hood. So let's start off with round number 1, anatomy. Now with this one, the vertical clitoral hood, or VCH, can be done in both types of vulva shapes. I talked about this a lot on the channel over the years. There's kind of 2 extremes to vulvas. There is either the hill type, where a majority of it is visible outside the body, and then there's the valley, where it's more inside the body. With this piercing, either or isn't an issue to do the piercing. You can usually pierce either or, and it doesn't really matter. The Q-tip test, which is common with both of these piercings, is a little bit more of an issue with vertical than it is with horizontal, because there needs to be enough loose tissue there to support the jewelry and the jewelry to sit comfortably behind the hood on the underside of it. With this, if you don't have enough space there, you can't do them. It also depends on the shape of the hood itself. Some of them are more drape-like. Some of them are more straight across. It really varies. We're all unique little flowers, and everybody's a little different. So there's a number of reasons that could dictate whether or not you could get this or not. But I would say there's a large variety of people that can get this piercing done. On horizontal clitoral hoods, you really need to be more of a hill. We need that area to be more outside the body and not in that valley, mainly because we're putting circular jewelry in there, and if it's really tight and squeezed together there, the flipping back or the pressure that is caused by the labia majoras, in most cases, or outer, will cause issues with this particular piercing. Also, there needs to be enough loose tissue to pierce it correctly, to secure the jewelry and not have to worry about hitting anything we don't want to, like the gland. This one I'm going to give to VCH, vertical clitoral hoods. The reason why is more so than anything else is there's a larger variety that we can do this on, because we don't have that option or worry about it being far enough and have room for the jewelry. The jewelry fits more comfortably and more people. And that moves us on to round number 2, placement variety. The VCH can be placed pretty much straight on. They can be done a little bit off to the side or this side or at angles. Those are kind of, there's special names for each one of them, and I think it's kind of silly to do that, but they can be done off to the side. They can also, I've seen them done in pairs and have done them in pairs in various different options. But straight up and down or off to a side or angle, there's a couple different placement options. But they are generally done dead center. And understand that it really depends on your anatomy whether or not you can do it off to the side or not, or even with some, maybe off to the side, one side or the other is a better option depending on what your anatomy looks like when we get ready to do it. With horizontal clitoral hoods, HCHs, there needs to be, they're pretty much done at a 90-degree angle. They're done at the top. We try to vary jewelry to make it a little bit more stimulating, but for the most part, there's just kind of one location. You don't really have a lot of different piercing options. I have seen people that have done multiple ones, but it seemed like it would just get in the way and not really do anything for you in any way, shape, or form other than annoy you. So, yeah, there's kind of one placement, and that's about it. So this one I'm also going to give to VCH, making the score now 2-1. Going into round number 3. Healing. Usually the VCH will heal in anywhere from about 6 to 12 weeks. Very quick healer because it's kind of isolated. Doesn't tend to have a lot of problems. You kind of just need to limit movement and isolate. Clean off the discharge, and that's about it. Pretty easy heal overall, and just practice some common sense cross-contamination prevention. It will affect your sex life for a short period of time. I do suggest using a latex barrier for about the first 3 months, and also, or 3 to 6 months. Also, anytime you change partners, you need to use some type of latex barrier. On the HCH, heals in about the same period of time, pretty quick healer. There is a little bit more jewelry movement, a little bit more difficult to isolate, a little bit more prone to getting caught and snagged on things or kind of getting moved around a lot more. So it tends to be maybe just a slightly more difficult heal than the other one. So that, after 3 rounds, means that one I'm going to give to vertical clitoral hoods, making it VCH 3, HCH 0. And that moves us on to round number 4, jewelry choices. With this one, the VCH, pretty much curved barbells is your only option, though you can wear rings in these. It really depends on the shape and size and how big that ring has to be to fit comfortably underneath the bottom. Everybody's a little different. It does kind of change how they feel. Some people will notice a little bit more stimulation to the point where it's uncomfortable. Some people like it better. It's kind of one of those things you never know until you try it. The HCH, it has to be circular jewelry. I guess you could put like a curved or a straight barbell in there, but it kind of would defeat the whole purpose of the particular piercing other than it looks pretty. But there is a large variety of different rings that you can put in there with different closures, different ends, different stuff. You just don't want to get too complicated because it can get kind of, you don't want to get into something that's going to get snagged a lot. And it's kind of the same way with the ends with the VCH. You kind of want uncomplicated, smooth ends. It's not a part of the body where you want sharp edges and points. So that one I'm going to call kind of a tie because you're kind of limited on both cases what style of jewelry you can put in there. Yeah, you can wear rings and circular jewelry and a VCH, but the majority of people, they go right back to the curved barbells. They find them most comfortable and less problematic. So we're going to make that after 4 rounds, VCH 4 and HCH 1. And that comes on to the final round. And that brings us to the final round. Living with the piercing. VCH. Easy to hide. Nobody needs to know you have it unless you tell them or unless they see them because they're an intimate partner. It's not something that everybody on the planet and their brother needs to know you have. You can hide it very easily. Since the jewelry is always in contact with the clitoris itself, it can cause stimulation on a regular basis. there's a lot of debate about this, and as I usually put this is, it's not going to make it worse in most cases. It may make it better, but it's going to be different than it was before. Some people find the simulation a little too much, or they find out that it's really, really great at first and then slowly fades over time. With that, I have to say that part of that is the newness of the sensation wearing off. You're not going to have a situation where a lot of people are worried about causing numbing. That's usually not the case. Even after the piercing is healed and you're living with it, you should avoid contact with the piercing. You don't want it to get caught or snagged. Any type of trauma on the piercing, I wouldn't suggest hanging anvils from it or large weighted objects or anything. That's not going to do well. You want to avoid causing trauma to the piercing even when it's healed. You do need to check the balls on a regular basis. They do unscrew on their own, and it's my experience with genital piercings that you don't notice it's loose until you're walking through a public place or you're sitting down on the toilet. That's when they usually you notice it. It will require a little bit of discipline as far as checking them on a weekly basis and kind of a commitment towards that. Last thing with living with the piercing with VCH is they can be the forever piercing. They're one of those piercings that in a large majority of people, once they've had it for a year or two, they don't close. Now let's move on to the Horizontal Clitoral Hood Piercing, the HCH. It also can be hidden. You have all the same advantages. Nobody needs to know that you have it unless you let them know. The jewelry will cause a little bit more movement. You may have to vary jewelry shape and size to find what works best for you as far as the length and the shape and etc. Kind of gives you kind of an open-ended thing where you need to experiment to see what you like best. Less sensation than you're going to have with a VCH, mainly because you don't have that bar in constant contact with the top of the clitoris, which is an area that's usually kind of more sensitive and it's covered by the hood itself. So it might not be as stimulating as a VCH, but that varies from person to person. It might be just the right amount for you. We never know until you do it. That one I'm going to give to VCH just basically because it's a little bit easier to deal with. The only real disadvantage with it, I would say, is you got to check those balls on a regular basis. It doesn't get snagged as often. It's not going to have as much contact. So, after 5 rounds, it's going to be vertical clitoral hood 5, horizontal 1. So, do you have either of these piercings, or maybe both these piercings? What were your experiences with them? Can you compare the two? And do you have any suggestions for anyone else? Please leave a comment. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I'd love to see you for your piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. We'll see you in that next video.